The International Conference Including Disability in Development Cooperation, Experiences of Collaboration between Governments, NGOs and DPOs, held on the 18th of November 2015, was organized by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Directorate General for Development Cooperation, in collaboration with the Italian Network Disability and Development, RIDS, within the Development Education Project, Cooperate to Include, the commitment of Italian government on disability and development cooperation, managed by the NGO AIFO for RIDS. This project is intended to create an opportunity to exchange different experiences among the actors working in cooperation in the field of disability. For several years, the Italian cooperation has been particularly active in the field of disability. In June 2013, has been approved the Plan of Action on Disability and Cooperation, thanks to a long and constructive dialogue held by the working group MAECI-RIDS, that extended the consultation to other leading representatives of civil society and other national institutions. The Action Plan on Disability for Italian Cooperation is a tool to strengthen cooperation measures in inclusive sense, to lead actions in the field of disability with specific programs, promoting mainstreaming of other projects and launching awareness projects. The conference program was built to highlight the pillars of the action plan and to share experiences and strategies within inclusive development in order to improve Italian, European and international commitment, consistent with the UN Convention of the Rights of Persons with Disability, and above all with Articles 32, 11 and 4 that clarify the important role of civil society and in particular organization of persons with disabilities. With these goals, the conference pointed out 4 areas: the Italian, European and international commitment on inclusive development. The spirit in which we planned this working day was precisely to create an opportunity for exchanging information and discussion on the different experiences of the various stakeholders operating in the field of disability, as we believe that this kind of discussion can strengthen each position and awareness.
Now we do know that this new agenda on sustainable development and cooperation offers us amazing opportunities to make sure that we work at a universal level. The beauty of this agenda is that it is a universal agenda that applies to so-called developed and developing countries differently than what it was with the Millennium Development Goals, where, by the way, disability was not included in the new sustainable agenda. Disability is very well included. So although it's still challenging to make sure that disability is mainstreamed in the various agendas, and this is why human rights and social policies have to work and walk hand in hand.
The Inclusive Education Group drew up a document with the aim of providing theoretical and practical information on the issue, and also tools for formulation, monitoring and evaluation of initiatives in the field of inclusive education. In the experience of RIDS, it was very important to collaborate with someone who had experience in the field of empowerment of the organizations of persons with disabilities. It was important having a different point of view of traditional international cooperation.
But also there were very clear requirements in terms of developing a comprehensive policy for disability and development. Also taking a leadership role in terms of implementing the 2030 agenda in an inclusive way. And also there were some requirements in terms of monitoring. So they require us to set up a monitoring framework. And this is
also, we see this the same challenge that many development agencies face.
The promotion of the rights of persons with disabilities, of course, is one of the 5 priorities of the human rights in Spanish policy. And the work, speaking about the work of the Ministry of Health, the Spanish Disability Strategy is the reference and long-term guideline for Spanish public policies on disability. The objectives of this strategy are aimed for the intervention in primary policy areas as identified by the European Commission in the European Disability Strategy. And also I have to say that the action plan for the Spanish Disability Strategy establishes that disabilities and universal accessibility must be present in Spain's external action. The objective is to defend the right of persons with disabilities through external action of the state, including development programs.
Finland has not ratified the convention. We have signed it in 2007, and the Parliament approved it last year. So it has been a very long process, perhaps requires a bit of explanation. Finland has a unique way of dealing with the conventions. The way we approach is that we fully align our national legislation before we then ratify the convention.
The German National Action Plan for the implementation of the UN CRPD, and then came out in 2013, early 2013, with the UNZ Action Plan on the inclusion of persons with disabilities and German development cooperation. This action plan has a duration of 3 years, so we are coming to an end by the end of this year, and we will speak about later how to go further with this action plan, and has mainly 3 strategic objectives. One is to look at the commitment within the institutions, the ministry and the implementing organizations, strengthening the cooperation in partner countries, and extending cooperation with civil society, private sector, and multilateral organization at international level.
Let's try to consider the big issue of disability within specific political matters crossing Europe. Let's consider the immigration issue, a relevant political problem for which persons with disabilities do not exist, and if they do, they pay the highest price. Let's consider the war issue. The reflection on disability has to face these issues and give data on the matters, get information and coordinate information. Europe has to do much more about this. If we don't get to the heart of the problem, persons with disabilities become rhetoric.
I disabili diventano una retorica.
Two, the role of DPOs in inclusive development projects, empowerment and participation.
When we talk about community-based inclusive development, we talk about 2 levels. So promotes human development in the community at community level, and promote and enhance and maximize the person, the abilities of the person.
Nowadays in Italy we have developed a path that goes beyond national borders because we believe in international exchange of experiences and programs, because we firmly believe that by joining hands we can improve actions aimed at improving the life conditions of people with disabilities. This must be based on participation, on empowerment to be given to organizations dealing with the themes of people with disabilities as well as NGOs.
Three, the inclusion of disability into emergency projects.
Here at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we have to administer about 70 million euros, and this is money that we use in 3 geographical areas: the Mediterranean and Middle East area, the Syrian crisis, Iraq, the Palestinian territories, for example. Then we have Eastern Africa, and this doesn't only include the Horn of Africa, but Sudan, South Sudan, and then we have a significant area in Western Africa, and in particular in the Sahel area. It was an international advocacy effort. Basically, we wanted to make sure everyone was aware of the need to respect persons with disabilities, even in a very distressing situation, such as a conflict or a natural disaster. The main idea is to change over from a humanitarian approach to a human rights approach. The humanitarian approach is something we are familiar with. This is a subject which is based on the idea that we need a speedy intervention with charity efforts and military intervention. I have to provide prevention, protection, tents or whatever, and I have to limit damages. Now, we've had this for years. There is a triage system. Under this approach, you have to decide who you're going to assist first. Well, we are excluded from the triage approach because we can't move around unless we have a wheelchair, and what it says there is that that assistance is provided to people who are self-sufficient. So you see, we've got a lot to change already. Now, again, in the humanitarian approach, we have a two-time approach. I take action firstly, and I cannot consider disabled persons. And in this first step, I can provide food, health, and housing. However, rights are considered only subsequently. And what about the difficult access to camps? This is where displaced persons are placed. And what about the dietary needs of persons there? I mean, those are often ignored. This is a latrine in a Kurdistan camp. It is not accessible not only for persons with disabilities, but even for elderly people.
You don't need the right to work. Nobody will deny it. You need a job. The difference from having the right to work and having a job is immense. And this is where we are now. Today we are in that empty field in which we are aware of the rights, but we are unable to operationalize them in practical terms in our everyday emergency, if we can say so.
Monitoring tools for inclusive development.
As mentioned before today, it's one thing to have the right, it's one thing to be mentioned, it's something different to enjoy the rights and also be active in the society.
I'm going to address the importance of DPO monitoring, DPO engagement in monitoring, share some of the lessons learned from supporting DPOs in that process, addressing some of the capacities required for engagement in monitoring by DPOs, and how to build capacity in monitoring, and how that can contribute to facilitating participation in diverse processes at national, regional, and global levels.
Ever since May 2014, our internal statistical system has a marker on disabilities. This I believe to be a unique feature in all foreign ministries.
Among international development organizations, RIDS is innovative because of its composition. In fact, it connects two NGOs, AIFO and Educate, with two disabled people organizations, DPI Italy and FISH, that, on equal terms, apply the principles of full participation of persons with disabilities in all issues referring to them. In the framework of the ratification, implementation and monitoring of the Convention, the manifesto of RIDS highlights that the role of cooperation does change, promoting the full inclusion of people with disabilities in all areas of development, including decision-making processes. See Article 4.3. The RIDS argues that the capacity building of organizations of people with disabilities permits sustainable processes of inclusive development and ensures the effective application of the Convention. If you want to promote the implementation of the Convention of the Rights of Persons with Disability, let's join our mission.